The Pixel 9 leaks just keep coming. They won't stop. Today we have another thing from Android Authority, another news breaking thing from Camila Wojciechowska. It is camera information on the Pixel 9, Pixel 9 Pro, Pro XL, and the Pixel 9 Pro Fold, and we're going to get right into it here. I've kind of broken things down into a series of tables I can work off of, and I'm going to tell you, to the best of my ability, what all of this stuff means. Let's start off with the Pixel 9. This is the standard model. And first off, let me just say, if you want to see like really good looks at the hardware, there's a link to that video in the description because they just got blown out of the water through basically a version of the FCC from another country, the NCC. So yeah, link in the description, but this is specifically about that camera hardware. So for the primary sensor, the main thing you're going to be using from Pixel 8 to Pixel 9, it is staying the same. It is the Samsung G and K. It is a perfectly good sensor. It's relatively new still. No problem there. For the ultra wide, we're going to be switching from the IMX 386 to the IMX 858. This is a newer sensor. This is a step in the right direction. Upgrading to newer hardware is a good thing. Of course, there is no telephoto on the standard model. And for the selfie camera, we're remaining the same, but we are picking up autofocus. So I would say most of it stays the same. Software improves, the processing pipeline improves, but the improvement to the ultra wide, I think, is going to be noticeable. It's literally a physically larger sensor as well, so that does lend itself to better shutter speed, better low light performance, better detail. It's a good thing. Going to the Pro and the Pro XL model, they have the exact same camera setup, which is great to see. So we're going to compare the 8 Pro to the 9 Pro / Pro XL because they are the same. So for the 8 Pro to the 9 Pro, same thing. Primary camera is staying exactly the same. The ultra wide, we were already using the 787 on the Pros. They had a slightly better ultra wide than the non-Pros, but we are also going to the 858 for the Pixel 9. So the same ultra wide now on the 9 Pro versus the 9 standard. I like that. I like the parity, right? As much as we can keep the same, I think that's a good thing. And they must really like this IMX 858 because they're using it in their telephoto as well. Gone is the 48 megapixel GM5 and in is the 50 megapixel IMX 858. It is ever so slightly larger as well, but it is also just a newer sensor. At least I'm fairly certain that it's a newer sensor. That's fine. Here's what's absolutely wild about the Pro models though. They're using that same 858 as their selfie camera. Somehow they have squeezed this thing into this device as the selfie shooter. The Pixel 9 Pro and Pro XL might be the selfie kings of all selfie kings. That is absolutely wild. And I love that it's consistent because that has to reduce the amount of tuning that you have to do. You're using the same sensor in 3 different places. That has to make things easier. To me, these look like fairly substantial upgrades. Unfortunately, though, now we have to talk about the Pixel Fold 2, and we do not have the same story going on there. It is, yeah, a little bit more disappointing. So, for the Pixel Fold 2, the Pixel 9 Pro Fold, I put a 0 there instead of... Oops. It's the same primary sensor as before, the Sony IMX 787, and yes, indeed, that is the 787 that used to be the ultra-wide in the Pro models that has now been usurped by the 858. We're sticking with it with the Pixel Fold 2, and it's fine. Okay, the 787 is fine. It's a decent sensor. I don't have any issues with the primary sensor in the Pixel Fold 1, so no big deal there. But for the ultra-wide, we're dropping the 386, which is definitely getting old, and we are replacing it with the Samsung 3LU. This is weird to me. So the 3LU, as you can see, is slightly smaller than the 386. So that's moving in the wrong direction. Another really interesting thing about this, if I can pull up this page and look, I'm not like a camera sensor expert, but I just thought this was weird. I'm looking into these sensors. This is the Samsung ISO 3LU. This is... to them, this is a selfie sensor. They advertise this explicitly as being a sensor to be used at, oh my lord, as a, okay, I will not scroll. I am terribly sorry. It's a selfie sensor as far as Samsung is concerned. But here we have Google using it as their ultra wide. This seems to me maybe like a little bit of a downgrade even. It's newer, so that's good, but it's smaller and it's not typically used as an ultra wide. Why would Google do this? I think the simplest answer is the Pixel 9 Pro Fold is getting thinner than what we already have here with the Pixel Fold, and something about that meant that Google needed to make some concessions, and they may have had to literally downgrade the ultra wide. Now, hopefully the software can improve and that keeps things fairly even. I would bet that that's probably the case. I would bet when this thing is in our hands, we'll compare ultra wide shots and you're probably going to go, they look very similar and it's not going to be a big deal. But it doesn't sound great on paper, right? To say like, if this is an upgrade, it's not much of one. It may be a lateral move. It may be a downgrade. This is something we're going to have to test, but it's not nearly as encouraging as what we had here with the Pro models. For the telephoto, the 5X telephoto, staying exactly the same. I would have loved to have seen a larger sensor for the telephoto because it doesn't do great in terms of detail, in terms of shutter speed, in terms of low light performance. It's fine, but you compare it to something like what the OnePlus Open has, and it's definitely noticeably worse, and I would love to have some improvements there. That's not coming. As we move to the selfie cameras, it's important to point out that this whole thing about them using a quote-unquote selfie sensor as an ultra-wide isn't that weird because they were already using the same sensor for their selfie camera on the outside of the Pixel Fold as their telephoto. The same 3J1 was being used here. That's why it's not the best telephoto in the world. They're using a selfie sensor. Those are going away. The 355, the 3J1 going away. They are being replaced by the 3K1. Now, again, this looks like a slightly newer sensor, but some of the specs are worse. It is physically quite a bit smaller. Again, perhaps concessions being made to get the device to be even thinner. And another concession that I need to point out here, in the video that I just posted talking about those breakdowns, the physical look of these devices, I read the wrong line. I kind of hinted and I said, you need to go read the article because they talk about the battery. And I think I might have like hinted that the Pixel Fold 2's battery was getting bigger. That's false. It's getting smaller, going down by like 200 or 300 milliamp hours, which is not like a huge amount, but it's still getting smaller. I hope that the G4 is just really efficient and that kind of balances things out. But guys, we kind of have this like ping pong thing going on where, you know, when I first looked at these things, I'm looking at this hardware and I'm thinking the crease looks amazing. I'm thinking that the build, the gap on the side here where the hinge is next to the screen, all of this looks really, really encouraging. But then you look at the battery, you look at the cameras and you're like, it's not quite as encouraging as I was hoping it would be. And let's keep the same energy here, guys. We've been dumping all over Samsung for the cameras staying the same with the Z Folds. And with Pixel here, with the Pixel Fold 2, a lot of it's staying the same. And a lot of it does appear to quite literally maybe be getting worse. I'm not, like I said, I'm not like a camera sensor expert, and it's super duper frustrating trying to look into this stuff. Like, you think, you would wish, you would hope that all you would have to do is say Sony IMX858. Let's just Google that, and you're going to go to this page, and it's going to tell you the release date, and it's going to tell you stuff that you need to know. But as you scroll through this, they don't really seem to mention release dates anywhere. Like, it's weird how, like, hard it is to like look into camera sensors. You think it'd be super easy, but it's just not. So I'm kind of giving you, like, to the best of my knowledge, this information, just looking at things like the sensor size, which is generally very, very important, right? When you see a sensor going from 1/3 inches to 1/3.94, that means this is a smaller sensor, and smaller isn't a good thing. So, like, if some of you guys in the comments are like, oh yeah, like I am like a camera guy and I know all about all these sensors, I would love to hear some input in the description or the comments rather down below. But to me, this does not look super duper encouraging. I know I just gave you some encouraging stuff. Now let me settle you back down and tell you that the cameras don't look great. If you're hoping for the pro cameras in the Pixel 9 Pro Fold, that doesn't seem like something that's going to be happening. Guys, thanks for watching. I will drop a link to the Android Authority article in the description down below, so you can go click on that and read through it yourself. Maybe I left some stuff out that you're going to want to see. Again, I say thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.